everyone, it's Bretta Riches from runforefoot.com, and today I'm going to be giving you more reasons why you should learn forefoot running while running barefoot on pavement versus running barefoot on grass. And I've talked extensively about why new forefoot running learners shouldn't run barefoot to learn forefoot running on grass, and rather they should focus more on running barefoot on pavement, because doing so allows them to land much lighter. But I found more evidence which supports why running barefoot on grass might be a little health harming as compared to running barefoot on pavement when you're learning forefoot running. Now, don't be intimidated of running barefoot on pavement. You'll be very surprised to think that it's actually more comfortable. In fact, you might think that running barefoot on pavement would hurt and cause injury, but actually it's less abusive on your body as compared with running in thick cushion running shoes. From my own personal experience and from what barefoot running advocates like Christopher McDougall suggest, that running barefoot on pavement is very important and is essential to improving your biomechanics, because it essentially helps you and forces you to avoid heel strike and helps you land on your forefoot. And to back this up, research is now showing that running barefoot on grass, especially if you are an inexperienced barefoot runner or an inexperienced forefoot runner, this is the wrong idea, and that learning forefoot running on softer surfaces when you're barefoot may actually prevent you from optimizing your forefoot strike mechanics, especially if you were a long-standing heel strike runner who used to run in running shoes. So it turns out that forefoot running on softer surfaces changes your leg swing mechanics and your foot strike mechanics at touchdown as compared to forefoot running on hard surfaces. And of course, this is when you're barefoot. In one study, which I will link below, the study found that habitual shod heel strike runners, so runners who landed with the heel strike and who wore traditional running shoes, these runners who switched to barefoot running landed with a more posterior, not an anterior foot strike pattern when these runners ran on softer surfaces. And what this means is that landing more posteriorly on the foot means that they actually landed closer to the heel rather than landing on the forefoot when these runners ran barefoot on softer surfaces. And this is very interesting because in general, barefoot running does normally encourage or stimulate a forefoot strike landing over a heel strike landing. And this is mainly because running barefoot is in general uncomfortable when you heel strike. That's why a lot of barefoot runners typically use a forefoot strike landing. But in the study, it found that even though these runners are running barefoot, they still maintained similar heel strike mechanics when they ran on grass. So the researchers noticed that the barefoot runners who ran on very soft surfaces landed more prominently closer to the heel with increased ankle dorsiflexion, which basically means that their forefoot, the front of the foot, lifted up at touchdown, and this made heel striking easier. And not only that, the researchers noted that the barefoot runners who ran on softer surfaces had less knee flexion and more knee extension. And if you look at the research, and also if you check back with some of my other videos that I've done on knee flexion and knee mechanics during running, normally to make running very safe, and especially safe on the knees, you don't want to run with knee extension at touchdown. And what that means is that you don't want to have your knee hyperextended or completely unbent when your foot strikes the ground. Rather, you want to make sure that your knee is slightly bent, which means that it's soft and flexed when your foot strikes the ground, because this helps deflect impact. It also helps with the spring mechanics in your legs so that your stride becomes more efficient. So that's one of the reasons why it's very important to run with bent knees and not straight knees, like these runners, these barefoot runners in this study who ran barefoot on softer surfaces. Unfortunately, they had more knee extension, which is actually damaging to the knee joint, because the knee is locked into an unstable position when it's straight when the foot strikes the ground. So why did softer running surfaces such as grass encourage heel strike running related mechanics in the barefoot runners? Another study found that, the researchers speculated that softer running surfaces reduces or even eliminated the stimulation needed on the bottom of the foot to change foot strike geometry or foot strike mechanics at touchdown during running. So in other words, softer running surfaces like grass or a matted synthetic surface allows heel strike running to feel more comfortable as compared with running barefoot on harder surfaces. So another downside to running barefoot on softer surfaces is that the level of comfort it provides actually increases ground contact time. So your foot spends more time on the ground when you typically run on softer surfaces, and this allows for, or could allow for, potential more force production. And this also gives more time for plantar forces to distribute over more areas of the foot, which may increase the risk of bone fatigue in the metatarsals, so in the little small bones on the top of the foot. So this is another reason why it's better to learn forefoot running via barefoot running on harder surfaces, because typically when you run on harder surfaces, it's like running on hot coals. You have greater stimulation on the bottom of the feet, and this helps you develop a lighter and quicker interaction between the foot and the ground. So your foot actually spends less time on the ground and more time in the air when you run barefoot on pavement. And this actually helps shorten your stride and increases your cadence, which again is positively related to better running efficiency or running economy. In the same study, the researchers found that the barefoot runners who ran barefoot on pavement had greater knee flexion, so their knees were softly bent, so the knees were in a better position to deflect impact. This suggests that harder running surfaces such as pavement may provide a better opportunity for forefoot striking to adaptively prevent pressure peaks on the foot. Also, another study found, and of course all these studies I'll link below in one article, the study found that running on harder surfaces such as asphalt reduced ground contact time by 12% as compared to running on grass. So again, there's another example of how running on barefoot on pavement helps increase cadence. So it's a great way to optimize a higher cadence frequency, which is basically a higher step rate frequency. So you, again, your feet spend less time on the ground and more time in the air, which helps keep impact production much lower. So overall, the findings indicate that barefoot runners do not appear to suffer any ill effects from running on hard surfaces. So what this means is that the mechanics related to running barefoot on pavement is actually helpful, both running economy-wise and from a health/injury prevention perspective. And that the discomfort of barefoot running with a heel strike on harder surfaces is a perfect motivator to help prompt a proper forefoot strike landing for optimal comfort. And that's how running should feel. Running should feel comfortable. It shouldn't feel uncomfortable, which is one of the perks of forefoot running, is that forefoot running allows for a much comfortable, less impactful interaction between you and the ground. So for more information on forefoot running versus heel strike running, as well as barefoot running versus running in shoes, please head on over to my blog, runforfoot.com, or subscribe to my YouTube channel to stay updated on all the latest research findings on running. And have fun out there in the roads. Bye for now.